for max value. Every Friday, we go to Vegas and talk to our guy, Joe Fortenbaugh. Joe, there he is with the mustache. We just talked to Desmond Howard about the big game in Austin this weekend. How you playing Alabama, Texas?
Aggressively, to answer your question as quickly as possible, I would play Alabama in the first half minus what's now about 13.5 points. Now, if this were a night game and the Texas crowd had enough time to get themselves game ready, perhaps I would stay away. But this is an early game, and I think Bama comes out firing. Bryce Young has played in big spots on the road before. A&M last year, Florida, Auburn, 2 neutral site games against Georgia. Quinn Ewers, this is just his second career start. I don't think it's going to go well against Will Anderson and the Alabama defense. They're going to be swarming him early. I would lay the points with Alabama in the first half of this matchup.
All right, let's go to the NFL, Joe. Aaron Rodgers, whole bunch of new receivers. Green Bay is going to Minnesota where they're 1.5-point dogs. Who do you like in that game?
Minnesota. I'd take the points, but I'd also play them on the money line here. Let's start with Green Bay. Davante Adams leaving takes approximately 30% of last year's targets, receptions, and receiving yards out of the equation. Now, someone else is obviously going to step into the role, but not like Davante Adams. He was top 3 in all those categories last year in the NFL. Now, what I want you to look at is when the Vikings play at home versus on the road, it's a much different story. That crowd noise helps them fire off the ball a fraction of a second faster. The sacks, the turnovers, the pressures, I think they're going to be all over Aaron Rodgers. And new head coach Kevin O'Connell of the Vikings, he is going to unlock the weapons on this offense. I don't think Minnesota's making a run to the NFC Championship game or anything like that, but I do like them here to win and to cover.
So often on sports TV, you see like meaningless stats. We just throw stats at you. Those were striking. That is a significant difference in terms of the way they operate at home and on the road. And how are you betting Sunday night's game, Joe, between Tom Brady and the Bucs and Dak Prescott and the Cowboys?
Under. This is an absolute underplay right here. 51's a key number when it comes to totals because when it comes down to how games end, total amount of points, 51 is a number that these games land on a bunch. So you'd ideally want under 51, but I'd play 50.5 under for a little bit less. This comes down to the offensive line, not just for Tampa Bay, but for Dallas. They're both banged up. They're both average to below average. And if you have issues with the offensive line, you're not going to be able to consistently run the ball, and you're not going to be able to consistently hold up in protection. That means you're not going to be able to sustain drives, and you're not going to be able to put points on the board. Tom Brady isn't exactly Jalen Hurts in terms of mobility, so they're going to be able to pressure him up the middle, and when they get him off his spot, much like the New York Giants did in not 1 but 2 Super Bowls, they can force him to be inaccurate and make mistakes. I think this game is lower scoring than people expect. I'd play under 50.5 points.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.